Hello, everyone. It's Piccia Neri here from Design for Geeks, and we are here again today for the third time with one of our very favorite guests, Paul Lacey from Dickiebirds. This is the third part of our UX for Everyone series, which has been so important for Design for Geeks because now we even have a course out that's called, actually two courses out, called called UX for Everyone. So today, Paul is here to talk to us about how to optimize once you've launched a website or a product or any digital product. So just to say quickly that the whole point about this is that we all think that UX should be for everyone, not just for big teams with large budgets. We can do it on our own, small team or no team. Over to you, Paul.
Yep, that's exactly what I think too. UX for everyone. In part one, we did talk Peter talked in great detail actually about one particular process of UX.
Yes, sorry, Paul. I just interrupt you quickly to say that Paul is 1/3, I think, of Dickiebirds, which is an award-winning agency, and Peter is another part of it. But today, Peter isn't with us. Only Paul is with us.
Yep, that's right. Peter's one of my co-founders, and he's a pure UXer. And in the part one of the series, he talked in quite a lot of detail about a particular staged approach to user experience design. There's lots of different staged approaches that you can do. He just went through one particular one. That one might have felt overwhelming to listen to all these stages and take in all this stuff at once. So in part two, we covered planning, where we looked at a wireframe and a sitemap, but then added another ingredient in there, which was the user flow, user journey, customer journey type diagram, and showed how beneficial that is to actually a project, not just to the client. Yeah, not just to the client, but also to us trying to deliver a project and rationalize when we've finished the project or if we've delivered something good or valuable.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited today because I've got a real example that I want to show you about. So once a website that you've done has been launched, how combining things like user experience design, CRO, and optimization can help you to improve that website. And also the coolest thing about it is that it gives you something additional to sell to your clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? I recently changed my intake form on my website, and that form is a qualifying form for new clients who are making an inquiry about a website or any digital product with me, or actually any product, and usually just asks what the budget is. And I've changed it to say, what is your monthly budget as well? Because I actually really want to work with clients who are aware of the fact that they need to keep working on their product in order for it to be optimized and to keep getting better.
Yep. And we've spoken in person about that whole process, because we've both been trying to succeed with that. And it is tricky because it's a different angle. But our quick version of our process is we have a 3-stage process when we work with our direct clients, which is the first stage is discovery and planning and strategy. Then that's the obvious one, where people set goals. And then what we've done then is, what we used to do is a second stage, and that was it, which was, build everything that we could within the budget they got. We split that into 2 stages instead, which we're still struggling through getting clients to understand this. So we're still working on that. But the new way is that our second stage is what we call viable product. So we get the website out, get it launched as quick as possible. But in the discovery and strategy phase, we've come up with the ideas that we want long term, which we then say these will be after the viable product. So it stops websites from having this kind of 6 to 9 month stuck period where there's 95% of it done, but there's a few things holding it back. We push those things to a third phase that we call growth to goals, and that's where we can do all of the really fun stuff like the CRO and the UX design and carry that on post project.
Yeah,
It's not perfect yet, but that's what we're aiming at.
It's kind of uncanny how our thoughts coincide, because I know we've been talking about this, but then we separately got to exactly the same conclusions. It's exactly what I propose in the course, and also in general to my clients. It's also it's called, I mean, HubSpot call this growth driven design, and it's exactly that principle. Just don't spend too much money on creating something that is perfect. Instead, spread the cost out and launch something that isn't perfect, but you can make perfect over time. So in a way, the budget is the same, but you make it last longer. And the whole point is that when clients see that they actually make more money, that that they reach much better goals by doing it that way, by keeping optimizing, then the point is that they probably then don't want for it to stop. They finally understand, because they've seen it, that it's an investment and not a cost.
Yeah, that's it. I much prefer the concept of, so the previous concept would be, make a whole website and then sell a cheap care plan, £50 a month or something like that, or £100 a month, whatever someone's charging. I much prefer the concept of a client that you have getting into an understanding the habit of paying 500 or more a month for stuff that they really value. The gotcha I've had, what I'm trying to optimize now in that whole process, is clients not quite understanding that third phase wasn't supposed to be optional. So then they just go for stage 1 and 2, and I've lost a bunch of budget from my projects. But I think that's purely a case of educating in the initial conversations, and just making sure they understand, and that this is the whole project. We've just broken it up into a way that is more healthy for the project.
Yeah. Completely agree. Yes.
And for those of people that aren't designers or UXers or business or agency owners, then the thing that I'm going to talk about today is super useful for you as website owners as well, because it shows you how you can look at a website that you've got, that you've just recently launched or has been online for a long time, and just spot some of the problems on there, and combine things like optimizing the process, and also how to get some feedback from real users. Without having to go and do actual user testing in a lab or that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So, yep.
Amazing. And also, to sort of add on to what you were saying, in general, the more I look at the UX process, and obviously because I'm building a big course and I've been studying it a lot, the more I realize, and I really firmly think that as a process, first of all, it's a business process, which is what you were saying. And then in a second place, is by no means just for those of us who build websites or apps. If you're a content creator, it applies to you, because the first thing that we were talking about is the empathy bit, which is what happens in the first phase. So simply by looking at the world with those different eyes, whatever you do it doesn't matter. You don't need to be a web agency. It will be incredibly useful for you anyway. So anyway, I'll shut up now.
And no, I think that's a great point. Some of the stuff, I can't say exactly what he's been working on, but some of the stuff that Peter's shown me that he's been working on has opened my eyes to the UX process expands way out of the things around, let's talk about a website, for instance. The initial assumption would be that the UX process is testing the website. Some of the stuff Peter's working on now, that I'm applying that knowledge into smaller things where I can, is the experience that happens way off the website, the human experience in the physical world.
Absolutely.
So I mean, take for example a restaurant. Let's say you got a restaurant. You could say user testing would be, for instance, people coming in and doing what they call the secret customer. What's it called? The secret customer. Yeah.
People.
Yeah. So it's not just the experience of them sitting at a table. It's how do they find the restaurant? How do they do this? All the things that they need to know. And I think sometimes I've definitely
the communication, everything.
Yeah. So exactly. So, and then what happens when they leave? Does someone say bye to them? All that sort of stuff. So, exactly. I think as web designers, coming into UX, we can probably think that it's just about the wireframes, it's just about the user flows and stuff like that. And that's when you mention content copywriters, that they are a massive part of the user experience. And so I think one of the big problems of user experience design is that we look at these things called funnels, we look at this thing called UX design, we look at this thing called CRO, and we're like, which one do we learn? Okay, we'll learn all of them. And then actually, or copywriting, another one. And actually, they're all part of the same thing. They're all part of the complete customer experience from the beginning through to the end, and Absolutely. Then the nurturing after that. So that's some of the stuff that I've learned. Take the restaurant example. User testing is, for instance, sending the secret customer in. I know it's not called the secret customer, but whatever. Mystery. Yeah,
but I think we all understand it. The mystery customer, yeah. The mystery diner, the mystery, yeah.
Yep. And the problem with that is that person who's a mystery diner, they know they're a mystery diner. So how do you test real customers? So it's a combination of the mystery diner and then the TripAdvisor reviews. So that's kind of how you can get the holistic, and then also just talking to customers in there. So the same goes with the website, and that's what I'm going to kind of show you today, not on a restaurant website, but a combining different aspects of user testing and optimization to make for a better website. So I should probably jump in here now. And
yes, let's do it.
Yep,
otherwise,
alrighty.
Keep chatting for hours.
Okay, is that the right way around for you? Are you seeing it backwards, or is it?
No, I'm seeing it the right way around. Yes.
Good, because it's back to front on my screen, so it's like mirroring.
That must be hard for you.
Yeah, I'm going to not look at the camera, so so I'll just look at my screen. Okay, so this is a friend of mine's company. He's just launched this website about 2 weeks ago, and he's a designer, and he's also an inventor. And he's invented this thing called Pigeon. And what Pigeon is, and I can show you exactly what it is. So let me just switch back to camera. Okay, so this is the product. You get it in a little box like this.
Looks
and
great.
Taken one out of there. And it's kind of it's an answer to it's a fight back against digital communication. So, for instance, I sent my grandmother a digital card. Well, I didn't. It was real, but I ordered it online and I didn't handwrite it and stuff like that. And yeah, it was lazy. I admit that it was lazy. So this is one of the products, and you can see it's got a special origami fold. You open it up. You can write the letter. You can write your letter in there, and then when you're done, you fold it back up. Really easy.
Genius.
Pop the address on there. Put the tab down, postage stamp there, and send it to them. And it's just a beautiful, crafted invention. Okay, so when you have one of these things in your hand, or you see what I just did then it's awesome. Okay, so you're like, this is lovely. So this first thing I said to him is, you need to get some unicorn designs, because my daughter and all her friends are going to absolutely love that. So I bought some of these for my daughter, and she loves them. He was even on the news. He was on like the local news, Midlands Today, which is like I think it's the BBC local news. And so he launched his website, and I'm going to show you first of all the very basic user feedback from people looking at the website. Okay, so first of all, I went to the website as a user to buy it, and also my daughter did, and my wife. We all went and had a look. And
you designed the website? He
designed it, actually. We just built it. He's a designer as well. And that's one of the things. He designed this website, so he's very close to his own product. Okay, so I went to the website as a customer and had a look through, showed my daughter, and she kept asking, well, how does it work? How does it work? And that was a problem, because the website wasn't communicating, and still isn't actually communicating exactly how the product works. This is how you know how the product works. Oh no, you can't see my screen at the moment.
No, not now.
Okay, let's just transition to that. Okay, so you're on the home page, you click on one of the products, and then you can see the description. Actually, I'll click into the main screen. And the way you know it works is through this little description here. So it's not very visual. You can, if you if you're looking, go on the homepage and see this. But the user often just goes here and just scrolls down, and then they see the product. And so there was feedback coming from me and my wife and my 11-year-old daughter, and also some of the other people that he sent it to, saying, this looks really, really cool. How does it work?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we realized that especially when his family and all his friends saw the news piece, they all understood how it works, because on the news piece, he showed exactly how it worked. And he was unfolding it and writing the letter, and then you saw it popping into the letterbox and stuff like that. So we realized that the website, from a user perspective, real user feedback for people who even knew him, was saying that we're not sure exactly how this works. So he's created a video, which is on here, and you can sort of see it's one of those top-down videos where it just shows the whole thing getting unfolded and then writing on there.
So
and it goes through, and it goes through to the end. So what we've decided is that we're going to pop that on the homepage. There's plenty of space for it over here to sit alongside this intro thing here, and then help people understand how it all works, because the news piece where it was shown was so powerful. So that's a really simple user testing. Just show some people the website. Yep.
Yeah, amazing. So, sorry, where is it going to go now? Is it on the homepage already, or?
It's going to go here.
It's going to go there, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to. This text is going to go over to the left a little bit, so it's left aligned, and then the video is going to pop itself over on the right there, so you can see exactly how it works from the homepage.
Fantastic. So, can I just say one thing that's occurred to me? As soon as I saw it, I thought, beautiful, love it. I wish I'd thought of it myself. And also I thought, yeah, to me, the real obstacle has always been, actually, I cannot even tell you how many lovely cards and postcards and letters I've written that never left the house because of the huge stamp obstacle. I have this thing. It's just like something it's an impairment that I have. So if it were me, I would ask for him to include the stamps and charge for it, but include the stamps, because I would not buy it for that reason. I would go, yeah, I'm just not going to send them. I know now.
Yeah. What a fantastic idea that is.
And I think that maybe you could give the option. You could say, pack with stamps or pack without stamps. In that way, the user, my experience, I would be like, oh my God, because then in that case, if I can't even make it to the post box, then it's definitely my fault. But including the stamp would be like amazing.
Well, here's the thing: my grandma, who I sent I ordered an online card for. I'd already bought a card in the real shop. And so that's just at home, just sitting on the shelf. And exactly the same problem. I couldn't be bothered to sort out a stamp. So in the end, I ran out of time, and then had to just, spend about £10 on funkypigeon.com.
There you go. So it means that I'm not the only one that has this appalling syndrome, and therefore it could be a really nice addition to your friend's products. Yeah,
it would help this product succeed, I think, which would be a really nice thing to do.
So there you go. Feedback, live feedback. Again, live user testing feedback. You never know who can give you an answer.
That's it. And to get that feedback just from friends and family that they said it looked beautiful, but how does it work? And then to have that answered from a potential customer point of view is really, really valuable. So that shows that you don't have to spend money to do user testing. You can literally just show somebody what you've done and just ask them what they think and do they get it, and what would they do next on this page.
Amazing.
So that was the first half. That's simple user testing. There's another thing that we want to know about, which is sometimes people will visit this website, and we want to make more people visit the website and get through to the checkout and then complete the purchase. And not everybody does that. You lose people at checkout, and it's kind of like, why? And you never find out why that happened. Now, those people, are the best people to get feedback from, because they went to your website, they checked it out, they even added something to the cart, and they went to the checkout, and for some reason they bailed. And so that's the other side of things I wanted to briefly talk about today. So first of all, we've mentioned just some basic user testing with people that we know, and out of that, with the videos going on there, and now probably some stamps will go with the product, and then it'll be a super nice little touch as well to do that. I assume that's legal, and there's not like a special license you need for selling stamps, but
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that one, but I
don't think there's a problem with selling stamps. No. So and then the second thing is, how can we get user feedback from real users? And that's why I mentioned the restaurant earlier, because you and I talking about this website, having been asked to look at it, is like the mystery customer.
Yes.
But the feedback on TripAdvisor was someone genuinely had that experience without feeling like they were being asked to do it or getting any freebies or anything like that. And they gave their honest opinion online on TripAdvisor or another feedback mechanism. So how on a website like this can we gather that data? So that's what I wanted to briefly look at now. So
that would be great. Also, because cart abandonment is the big thing, isn't it? It's basically like leaving money on the table, because if you don't reach back to them, they may never buy. But if you do, then they might.
Exactly. I'm going to reshape my browser slightly now, if I can. There we go. Can't get much bigger. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this okay, but this is the current...
Can you go closer, maybe?
Let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah.
Zoom in, yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
There we go. This is
showing. It's not showing quite in high res, which is a shame. Can you say the names of the pages?
Yeah, no problem.
Because it's not.
Let me just check in case it's got some kind of effect going on the screen. Hang on.
It might be the zoom thing, because zoom only. It's not brilliant resolution.
I'll zoom in and then move through it.
Yeah. So I can now kind of read homepage, sales page, order page, but because I'm intuitive, but you can't read it otherwise. No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll talk through this.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the current flow on the website, and it's a typical flow on a lot of websites. Homepage, sales page or product page, order, add to cart, checkout, purchase.
Yeah.
It's quite an optimistic flow.
Exactly. Because when we looked at your in the part 2, when we looked at the flow, you showed that you have to take into account what happens when a customer is not ready to make the purchase.
That's right, and that's over in this area over here. So we've kind of covered that in another session. But the one today is what happens when somebody abandons at this point. What can we do about that? So first of all, you need to be able to figure out who those people are. So I was just going to quickly highlight this plugin that is by the Adam Pricer's company, Cartflows. They've got a free plugin. I'm not sure when they launched it, but I think it's fairly new. And it's a free plugin. It's WooCommerce Cart Abandonment Recovery. Right. He's actually just done a video on his YouTube channel about it, and it's a really cool video. It's got full-on clickbait title. It's something like "How I Made an Extra $1,500 in 7 days in 5 minutes" or something like that. But it just shows you how this plugin works and how it allows you to, even with GDPR as well, there's a GDPR option, collect the data of someone who has started to fill out the checkout process but doesn't get any further than that, and how you can then retarget them and send them an email and nudge them onwards. So I'm not going to go into any detail about exactly how that works. Check out the video on WP Crafter YouTube channel, and you'll see exactly how this plugin works. This is just one option. There's lots of cart abandonment solutions, but I saw this, and this is the one we're going to be using on Pigeon. Right. Okay, so back to the flow here. I'm going to zoom out and pull in some other assets over here that I prepared earlier. Okay. and drag these up. Just get them in the right position, and then I'll explain what they are. So identify as saved.
Right.
Check out. Right, so it's about there. Okay, and then move this one.
Flow map, because I can't tell.
No, this is Funalytics. Let me zoom back in now.
Okay.
All right, so remember we spoke about adding that video?
Yeah.
So we're going to add that in to our diagram so it's there. So we've got to watch the video and then to the order page. So that's a little bit that we spoke about earlier, just adding in that little bit there, just so it's part of the new flow. And then what we've got down here is a completely new aspect of the flow, which is the cart abandonment flow.
Yeah.
So we're going to pull that in now. Okay. Let's just rearrange this a little bit. Okay, identify as saved. Right. So let's just move this over here. Excuse me while I rearrange things here. Okay, let's focus on this part first. Okay, so here we are at the checkout, and a lot of people go and purchase, which is brilliant, but some of them won't. So let's just draw an arrow down to cart abandoned, which is here. Okay, so I'm highlighting the ones that I'm talking about in case it's not very clear to be able to see it. And what we can do is I can save this as a PNG and we can give it away with this video. Okay, so we've got the cart abandoned here. Then what we've got here is a bit of a delay. So maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's a day, maybe there's a couple of delays. And then there's the typical email, first of all, is everything okay? Okay, and then it's got a link to help someone to go back to the cart, which is the arrow going up here. And then we're identifying as saved and we're going back to the checkout. Okay.
So, just interrupting. So, does this assume that they've saved the cart, or does the plugin also help? Because I'm not quite sure how it works with carts.
So, with this particular plugin, this assumes that they've got as far as putting their email address in and their name, which is the first two fields. So, if someone didn't do that, then you would have to have a different solution. For instance, like Facebook Pixel retargeting.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to go into that because that opens up a whole new bunch of skill sets that somebody's got to start learning and stuff. Yeah. But so this is for people who have started filling out the form and then they didn't do it. And I think, as far as I know, the way the plugin works is that every field you fill in, it's saving that data every time you fill in, rather than waiting for you to fill in the whole form. So it's saving that data, and then the plugin is able to give you the data that was partially filled, so you can do something with it. So we're assuming here that they filled out some data, then they abandon the cart. So then the plugin does what it needs to do, or whatever solution you've got does what it needs to do, and then drops them an email just that we've all had before that says, is everything okay? We noticed that you didn't complete your purchase. Here's a link back to your checkout in case you run out of time, whatever the email needs to say. They might ignore that one. So then in your sequence, you might have an email to re-engage with them. So for example, they might not have seen the call video. So let's just show them the video and see if that entices them back to the cart. So again, we're identifying them as a saved person via any method that we can, and they're back to the checkout. And then the final thing, if that even doesn't work, is to give them an offer. So in this case, the offer might be free postage or free stamps. In that case, that's a nice one, for instance. Free postage, free stamps, something like that. And the idea is that a certain percentage of people, and according to Adam in WP Crafter, his stats are around 17% of people he was able to rescue. I think that's what he said, 17%. I'd have to rewatch the video, but it was pretty staggering.
Yeah.
How many people he was able to re-engage with after they left the cart. So that could be a lot of sales. So there we are. There's the re-engagement emails. It could be just one, or it could be a few. But there's a blueprint for if you wondered which ones you might do. Is everything okay? Re-engage, and then an offer of some sort. So we've identified them saved, and they go back to the checkout. So for those users that have gone back to the checkout, they're special people to us from a user experience design perspective, because they quit the checkout for a reason. We've managed to get them back in, but I'd really, really love to know why they quit the checkout in the first time. Was it because the checkout was running slow and they couldn't do it, or there was a payment thing, or they didn't have their card available and they wanted to use PayPal or something like that? Was it because they kind of weren't sure what it was in the end, so we can re-engage with them? Or was it that they were a bit worried about the money side of things? And so there's 3 different, ways to kind of get them back in. And we get them back to the checkout, and we're going to make the assumption that that engaged them enough to continue on. So there's a checkout, and then what that says there is was saved equals true. Okay, so that's basically saying that they checked out and they purchased. In fact, actually, that arrow should be from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so they purchased, and we now decide, was this someone who was rescued from an abandoned checkout? So we can go along the rest of the little bit of flow here, and we can say, because we've identified them as saved, we can put a condition in there. Now, there's a number of ways that you can do that. There's different tools, and for instance, things like ConvertBox can detect if you came from a particular URL or a particular link and show a pop-up to someone on the basis of that particular condition. So if the user was saved from the cart, then let's ask them for a little bit of feedback and give them another incentive to, number 1, give us that feedback, and number 2, come back as a return customer. So here they are. We just want to ask one simple question: what was the reason that you didn't complete the purchase in the first place? We'd really like to know so we can help other customers understand what we did wrong. Okay, so that is genuine user feedback from a real user that you you didn't know them. They weren't an aunt or a friend's dog's sister's boyfriend or whatever. It was a real person who went through the process and dropped out of the process, and then you've brought them back in, and now you're asking them, why was that the case? So then there's a really good chance at that point that they're going to give you that feedback, compared to someone who completed the purchase without failing in the first place, because they are feeling like they've kind of reconnected with you, and you also potentially offered them a reward, which might be, again, free postage on your next order. Okay, so if you can get that feedback, offer the reward, that's super valuable feedback. So that's the kind of feedback that you really want to action, because somebody didn't make it through to the checkout. And they're probably feeling quite close to you at this point because you've reconnected with them. They've given you some advice, and they've kind of reconnected.
You have made them feel important as well.
You've made them feel important. So after they've given that advice and you've given them the award, ask them to share. And then you're kind of, so it's turning, it's using user experience design process, the idea of user feedback to improve the experience for your future customers, and also turning them into paying customers and advocates.
Amazing.
And that's basic. Yep, that's the basic premise of what I'm kind of proposing in this overall map. So before we just had these ones here, and then we've used a plugin in a WordPress case, and optimization and user experience design processes to add this aspect to it, which is a lot easier than it looks here. So you'd need a couple of little tools. Yeah, you'd need an email marketing tool.
Yeah, because the tool is also helping you. The thing is that I'm sure I look into, because I knew about this WooCommerce tool. The thing is that I often don't use WooCommerce for my digital, because if you're selling digital products, WooCommerce is not always the best solution. Or maybe if you're selling a course, you're using directly your course platform cart. So it's a matter of, this makes me think that actually using a separate product may be better, because it gives you much more flexibility on the experience of the checkout. And checkout is so crucial, isn't it? It's really crucial. So
because that's the point where everything that you worked for in your planning and your design and your nurturing through the very different routes that someone took if they don't do that thing at the end and they almost were there, what a wasted opportunity that was potentially.
Absolutely.
So you can see that if you did apply a nice kind of approach, which is a UX approach, which is to launch a viable product and then test and optimize that based on user feedback and user analytics that you're getting, that you will get as an agency the opportunity to have ongoing work with a client, and the client will have better sales, happier customers. So it's not let's try and figure out how to get more money from people. This is actually the product that we all should be selling if we're selling something like web design or WordPress development. Everybody wins in that scenario. So absolutely.
And anyway, it is the way it should be, because I don't think, if anyone told you, oh, I've got the solution, this is it, you shouldn't believe them, because they cannot know. No one can know until you actually try it. No one can know. So this is actually the way it should be. And once again, it applies to everything, and it applies also because a lot of people think that as we were saying earlier, the UX goes beyond the site, even in other bits that happen online, but they're not necessarily the website, which is all the emails that you get. And again, that's copy as well. The experience, we're going back to why copy is so important. There's in this series, by the way, there's another interview with Andrea Zollner from SiteGround. She's a chief content creator at SiteGround, and that's precisely what we talk about for about an hour. We talk about the importance of copy in UX, and all the little bits that you put together, and emails are such an important part of that. And actually, this is the bit that I personally find a little bit overwhelming if I haven't thought about it from the beginning. Because, for instance, in my own projects, I find that I do them sometimes with a hurry that I wish wasn't there. And then when I go back, I think, okay, did I make sure that all the little bits and pieces are consistent, especially as regards language? Have I said courses everywhere? Am I calling school what is now in the course platform is actually called an academy? It's all these little bits and pieces. So what I'm doing with clients now is I'm really insisting that this should be done at the beginning. It's almost as if every little bit should be planned beforehand, which is why we were saying in the previous episodes of this series with you, Paul, how planning and research are so important. They're so essential. And then once you have all that in place, designing is actually really quick, which is what
it does make it a lot easier. Does make it a lot easier. And like I've said before, I've not mastered this whole, it's lifelong learning, this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And I can look back on a decade of massive missed opportunities with clients. And while I'm still building my own processes, I'm aware that I'm missing opportunities with existing clients and new clients. But, you just got to let that go, and just one thing at a time.
There are only so many hours in the day. We've got other things to do besides work, like, feed chickens,
Exactly. They're hungry. They get angry if they don't get the food.
Yes. So we're just doing the best that we can, but we now know this. And I know personally the copy thing is the thing that has stayed with me the most. And I'm really going to, first of all, make it clear that clients understand that content is not an option. You need to have, because that's a typical thing that smaller clients think they can do on their own. And in fact, it's the one thing that they shouldn't be doing on their own. They should get professional help. And one very important thing is to literally do a list of all the things that are repeated, all the terms that are repeated, and make sure that you use the same language for all of them, the same terms. That's one thing that I need to make a note of. And I think that I'm going to be a very firm proponent of doing this and making sure that that's applied also in the emails, in everywhere. So there's also a copy style sheet, which is not just, if you've ever worked for magazines and newspapers, and there's always a style sheet that you refer to for how you use copy, or even how you style it, but how you use copy. And I never thought that that should be applied to everything, but it must. It must. And not just big people. That's always our point, isn't it? Not just big people, small people. It doesn't mean that you don't benefit from that. And it's actually really, these are things that seem overwhelming when you haven't done them at the beginning. When you do them at the beginning, it's going to take you an hour, 2 hours max.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there's plenty of templates out there for things like user flow examples for all sorts of different things. So for instance, someone might say, well, I don't know what to write in the emails for the follow-ups. Just Google cart abandonment email sequence, and I can guarantee you'll find some inspiration on there. There's a website called dripscripts.com, and they have a really good Facebook group. And in that Facebook group, there's a bunch of scripts in there that they release exclusively to the Facebook group. And there was a cart abandonment sequence in there as well.
Perfect.
And you can just take it and just tweak it and make small adjustments to make it perfect. And as for cart abandonment as well, there's as well as that plugin, there's all sorts of SaaS tools that do that. I think even things like ActiveCampaign have got plugins now for picking up people who didn't complete a specific set of actions. Yeah, I'm pretty sure some of the email marketing tools have got those features built in now, so that they can detect that user was on this page or user was on that page. And like I said, you can apply it to things like Facebook retargeting and stuff like that. But keep it simple at the beginning. That's the point about this. Is anyone can do this. Anyone can look at a website and say, how can we improve this? And if you've built that into your planning with your clients at the beginning, then everybody's going to benefit from that.
Absolutely. And actually, basically you're working together with the people that you are serving. That's the whole point. And it's kind of a little bit, I just noticed that your mug matches the color of your bicycle.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
It does. So that's the kind of thing that gets me happy.
It's got a cute guinea pig on it.
Oh, love it. So basically you're building the product with the people that need it. So what can be better than that? And it's kind of what I'm doing with the pre-sale of the UX for Everyone much bigger course. There was a free course, which is now half of it is free because people were saying even just half is enough. So and there's a big course, and I'm doing a pre-sale because exactly that's my point. I am building it, and I'm building it with the people that I'm building it for. So they're telling me what they need and what they want. And that's why it makes sense to do it that way. It's better for everyone involved.
Yeah, and this is the thing. People who launch courses like yourself, there's a launch will always be a stressful time of a course because you hope that enough people will buy it, and you'll have had feedback a bit like the mystery customer from your existing audience who already know you.
Yeah.
And some of those people will give you advice on what should be in the course, and then some of them will buy it and some of them won't. And then, but the TripAdvisor type feedback is going to be those people that you never knew at the beginning, going through it and then giving their feedback purely on the merits of the course itself. So it's just like the restaurant thing. Again, it's kind of, there's a process to launching anything, and with your course or anyone's course, you'll launch it, you'll have that pre-feedback that was kind of preloaded with people who already knew you or knew that whoever was doing the course, and then you'll have a whole different bunch of feedback.
After that. I did that. I used the free course for that because a lot of people that I didn't know from Adam took it, and I got their feedback. And now I will be doing it again on a larger scale with the bigger course. But that's exactly what I'm going to do. And actually, asking questions, because people then feel important. If you also make them understand that their opinion is highly valued, they feel important. They will feel like, I forgot to go back to gallery view, but you were talking most of the time. Yes. So I think it's just such a nice way of connecting, and it's all about connections, and your friend's product is about connection. It's all about connecting with the people that you're serving, which can only be a good thing, really. And it's the same principle that your friend's product is using. It's like, let's not forget that we're all real people, and that's what good UX is. It's in fact, I really try and not use the word users, and I noticed that you did that as well, because the term user is easy to use, it's practical, but it's a little bit dehumanizing, because let's not forget that these are human beings, people that use your product. So let's and the connection thing is essential, is the most important thing, because that's how human beings work, and we all buy stuff from the brands and the people that we like. That's what we do. It's natural.
Yep. So
connect.
That's it. Connecting, changing a failed sale into a conversation with a customer who you end up having an actual exchange with. I think that's really important on a course as well. I mean, that would be a fantastic reason to know why didn't you check out on a course launch.
I know. And that's those are the technical bits, because I'm not. I mean, I don't want to go into a personal conversation, but yes, it's. I will, as a consequence to this conversation with you, I will look into what tech I can use for my cart process, so that I can do that. I'm sure that tools like Thrivecart must have that. I'm sure.
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Thrivecart has got that sort of stuff. Yeah. But I mean, the cool thing is about it, it turns a disheartening experience into a positive one that can, like I showed you in that flow, can even end in a failed sale becoming one of your best advocates, because you change their perception, you help change their perception, and they then kind of had this rediscovery, and they're energized to talk about it.
Absolutely. And there's another really important point to make in this respect, because it may be that you don't recover some of the people that went through that, but it doesn't mean that they didn't notice. And maybe it will take them a bit of time. It may be a month, a year, 2 years, but they will remember you. And if you keep at it, you need to keep obviously doing that kind of thing. They will be your customer one day when they're ready. It's happened to me with so many products that I wasn't ready, but I was like, I think I really like you. And because they were not persistent sounds like they were not bugging, you don't bug people, but you're just consistent, and you keep the conversation open, and then in the end they do become your customer. And that's the best thing of all that you can do, basically.
Yep. Play the long game, definitely.
Yeah. Great stuff. So Paul, this was a usual brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
So nice that it was a real world product, because it's so easy to forget that actually there's so much interaction that happens when that is not digital. And also, even if it were a digital product that your friend was selling, let's not forget that at the other end, at looking at a monitor or a tablet or a phone is a person, and they are real. They're in the real world. So all this talk of digital environment, yeah, it's true, but there's always the human component, the real world 3D component that is fundamental.
Yep, 100%. Fantastic conversation. Really enjoyed this today, Piccia. Thank you very much.
Me too. Every single time. I want you to be we should probably make this a fixed.
Why not?
Yeah, let's do it. We'll talk about that. Anyway, Thank you so much to Paul Lacey from Dickiebirds. And this was Piccia Neri from Design for Geeks. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.